Now that we've created a first wheel, we can look at expanding that to other elements of the forklift that we're looking to simulate. So I'll turn it around and do very similar steps with the wheel that's on the other side. So I'm going to select the wheel that I have here in my 3D model. I'm going to right click. Now when I create a second part, I have a menu item that appears that says create part in assembly. So as opposed to having to choose the assembly like I did earlier, I'll be able to go in and pick that part and automatically put it within the assembly in a single step. So I'll choose that item, and we can see here now that we have the left wheel that's been created under the Explorer inside of the assembly. So I'm going to right click on that wheel, create collision geometry, and choose best fit once again. Now that I've done this, I'm able to go and save the mechanism, and then I can go and edit the part as I've done before. So we'll have the exact same attributes that we can specify, the part being 30 kilograms. I'm going to use the compute inertia and COM button to automatically compute inertia and center of mass offset. And I'm going to go under the geometry and choose that it's going to be a wheel material for that part. And let's save this. Now we go back to the editor and we have two fully detailed parts. Now we can go towards the back of the vehicle and keep working at it. What we're going to have here now, in this case, there's a few elements that are very close to each other. So we have this little pivot that's going to be used to be able to steer the vehicle, and we have the wheels themselves. So I'm going to choose, instead of choosing visually here within the editor, I'm going to use the hierarchy that we have on the left hand side to be able to see all the different elements of the forklift. More specifically, I'm looking for the caster pivot DOF. Now, this is a grouping that actually contains a few different elements. That grouping contains the arm for the caster pivot, and it contains the wheels that are below. Now, if we think about this in terms of the mechanical hierarchy of this machine, it's really this group that contains both the pivot arm and the wheels that I want to have as a part that I can rotate around. This way I'm going to rotate both the arm and the wheels themselves whenever the operator decides that he wants to steer in a new direction. So I'll come in here within the 3D model hierarchy. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say create part in assembly. So exactly the same menu item that we saw before when we were selecting on the 3D model. This is going to go through and add an extra item here inside of the assembly. Now, I'm not actually going to create any collision geometry for this element. The reason is it's mainly a control element. Sure, I could go in and want to create a small collision geometry around this arm that we have here for the pivot. Now, that being said, that arm is never going to be colliding with anything else within the environment. So there's no sense in actually going in and defining something like what is the collision geometry for that part, since it would just add extra computations that are not really required. Now what I will do is actually create a part for the wheels. So I'm going to select the rear wheels that we have here, and I'm going to create a part inside of the assembly. Now for this one, I will go and create a collision geometry and select that it should be of type best fit. And so we have yet another cylinder. This one is larger since there are actually two wheels at the back of this machine. I'm going to save my mechanism, and then I'm going to go in and select the rear wheels that we now see here within the editor. So I'm going to select the part. Of course, now there's two wheels, so I'll give them a mass of 60 kilograms to represent the larger item, and I'm going to go in and compute the inertia and COM. I'm also going to go under that cylinder and, as always, go and select what is the material and set it to wheel.